See ya, hotai.
La 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 la.
If you anyway, yeah, buenos noches.
What's up? We're alive. Well, technically, Trish is alive.
I'm
Since
alive.
I tried to die. My bad.
Yeah, it was quite a crazy time, This one, actually, this episode will go hand in hand with everything that, we went through for years.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is, it's not so much the toxic part, but it definitely is part of mental health awareness, and it's a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I
this is
can't remember
why,
when we received it or anything.
yeah, we
Because like I said, we get them, we delete them. I don't put any timestamps on it. I probably should, but it's very interesting.
yeah, this one is doctors, so if you're a doctor, this might help you, understand what some people are going through, and if you're not a doctor or you know someone out there who this has happened to, which it's happened to me quite a few times, it's happened to Trish a lot.
Oh, which technically we should probably start off with anyway because everybody, I mean, they kind of got it from like the post though, but there like was a couple people from Target who asked like what had happened. So just pay attention to your body. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, because
Like,
it'll betray you in a heartbeat.
and Virginia Women's Center is amazing. They saved my life. So
Most
my
definitely.
bad on not being able to post and add a bunch of different stuff to like our Facebook in the process, but Hoss did a really good job. So a round of applause for Hoss.
Yay! I try.
Yeah. So now he's gonna get into the story, just so y'all don't think that we're just jumping right into it. We appreciate all your cards, your Instacarts, your messages. It was awesome. Thank you.
All right, with that being said, I do. Dear Trash Talk, why is it so difficult for a doctor to listen to you anymore? I can't tell you how many doctors or appointments I've been to where I've been treated like a number. I am a person, not a number. I feel like some patients get way better care than I ever have. Like why? Are my issues not as important enough? Or something I just don't get the memo? I have depression, anxiety, and traumas from many years of childhood abuse that that all went under the radar until I was an adult and couldn't go on living the way I was any longer. I was super destructive. I was on a lot of drugs. I've been sober for 6 years. I'm on numerous medications. I've gone to therapy. I've gone to every doctor imaginable. Why am I not taken seriously? And specifically, why am I not going to matter unless literally something bad happens? I'm at my wits' end with the world these days, especially the ones boasting about everyone getting all the help they needed so desperately and don't hide or be alone only to make themselves feel useless and a burden when they try to open up. I'm confused as hell. Which one do they want? Sorry for venting, I'm just mad. So, it sounds like you kind of went to the doctor and got put through the ringer like what you are going through didn't matter. And unfortunately, that's actually fairly common in today's world. It's
And extremely accurate because that's actually one of the reasons why I ended up switching my OBGYNs, which I mean, I won't put out like the one that I did go to for like 12 years, but let's just say that they were super negligent. Completely different doctor, of course, but doctors in general should be someone that you can go to, that you can trust, because it takes a lot to go and say that you need the help.
that's it. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
90% of people out there never make it to that step where they say, I'm going to go get help. And this goes back to quite a few of our other posts. It's a big bonus in mental health, and being able to conquer something is validation.
Well, yeah, because you're already going through so much as it is. Don't mind me taking like my medicine and stuff, my bad. But you're already going through so much as it is. And it takes a lot of strength to admit that, one, you even need the help. Two, the symptoms that you're having, because I'm pretty sure it's either embarrassing or humiliating. Especially somebody that you don't really know. Like, what about the ones that go to a completely different doctor and it's like your first visit and you pretty much just get brushed underneath the rug, or they just come into the office after you've been waiting for forever.
Yep.
Just to be like, oh, well, this is what it sounds like and this is what it is and here's your papers and get out of my office. Like,
oh, yeah. Yep.
It goes hand in hand with any doctor, but especially for the ones that really need the help. And it took a lot, of pride to set aside, like, hey, I really need the help. I don't really want to go, but
yeah,
I need to go. Like, it's a ASAP thing. And then just to be, I don't really care about you. Get out of my office.
Pretty much. And it's not even so much as just limited to mental health. It's, as bad as it is, it kind of goes with the saying, one bad apple will ruin the whole bunch. Me personally, it's, I can remember one time, not naming out businesses, but, I woke up to go to work and I could barely walk. My back was kind of locked up from the work that I had done the day prior. I could not move. No way in the world I'd be able to, do my strenuous job at the time. So I decided to go to the doctor, to see if maybe I had pulled a muscle or, twisted wrong, or if I had something else going on. And I went to the doctor. It was about 7 o'clock in the morning, and I sat in that office for an hour and a half in pain, couldn't barely move. Finally got taken back to an x-ray, came back, sat there for another 15 to 20 minutes, only to hear the banter out in the hallway of the doctor saying, well, the x-ray's inconclusive, so chances are he just wants off work for the day. And
dude,
I was like, he came in the room probably about 2-3 minutes later, and I'm like, yeah, can I have my discharge papers? And he's like, oh yeah, so we looked at the x-ray, and I was like, yeah, I just want a day off of work. I said, isn't that what you said? And he just looked shocked at me, and I'm like, I can't walk. I said, but apparently, I just wanted a day off of work, which actually I didn't. I was actually looking forward to go to work that day because it was our company Christmas luncheon. They were feeding us Christmas dinner.
Aww.
And I had to miss out on it because I couldn't walk. And to be passed off as in like, oh, you know me, and just because you don't see something on an x-ray doesn't mean that I don't have a valid argument. And it's to be unvalidated when you're in pain, or to be unvalidated when you're battling demons, is probably one of the worst feelings in the world.
Yeah. Because it makes you feel, you already feel bad.
Yep.
So it's like, nobody likes feeling bad. Nobody. I don't know one person, unless you're like just one of those where they think they're sick like all the time.
Hypochondriac.
That's actually like a legit illness.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that until probably pretty much halfway into my 20s.
Yeah.
I thought it was a joke in the 90s. I really didn't think that it was like a legit thing. So
Wikipedia warriors.
I'm telling you.
It's pretty much like
it's the Med WebMD stuff.
WebMD, that's what it is. Yeah. The people who kind of like it's not something to play around with. There's actually a disorder out there for that, It's
it makes you feel like you're going crazy.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, okay, I tripped and fell down the steps, and I got a bruise on my head. Well, the hypochondria in them will make them take it to the extreme, like, oh, I hit my head, I got a concussion, my brain is internally bleeding, I'm gonna die in a day. And
or I have a headache.
I have a headache, so I have a blood clot in my brain.
That headache has turned into cancer. There's a
Yep.
brain tumor.
There's a brain tumor in my frontal lobe, and I'm gonna, I got 6 months left to live. And some cases that I had, it gets so bad that they honestly believe that they're not gonna make it. And there's been multiple cases where people who suffer from it have actually gone as far as to pretty much say that they're not alive anymore. And as bad as it is, there's not enough research out there to deal with cases like that.
Yeah, it's not just that, but it's like a bunch. Like, we've come pretty far.
Yeah.
There's stuff that, like, 10 years ago that nobody really spoke about or discussed.
Yeah.
And they do now, like it's, like it was an everyday occurrence.
Yeah, like, because they started realizing that between the illnesses, the crime, the suicides, and this, that, the other, they started like, wait a second here, there's a pattern. Yeah. This person said that they were hearing voices, and then they did this, and then that person said, they were depressed all the time, and we brushed it off as, oh, well, they're just looking for attention, and then bad things happen, which, like this user said, is why did nobody believe me until something bad happens?
Yeah, because I wouldn't even say that it's ingrained in someone's brain, but almost like we all grew up in the same sense of somebody just not taking us seriously enough.
Yep.
Or if we did hurt ourselves, say that we like skinned our knee, or we actually needed stitches or something.
Exactly.
They just kind of like brushed it off like, oh, you're fine, because I think it's like fear to admit that something is wrong with somebody else.
You feel flawed, and you're going to be bullied.
Yeah. And that's terrible.
It is.
As far as like a doctor sitting there talking crap about you while you're just sitting there. I remember that other time where you sat there for like 2 hours after they closed too. Like,
that was recent actually.
Yeah, I won't say who it is, but like
I actually got injured on the job, and again with my back, and I couldn't, barely walk. And my employer said, "Hey, let's, go to our doctor, so we can get a case rolling." So I went to their doctor. I showed up 2.5 hours before they closed, and filled out the paperwork, got taken back to a triage room, and got my vitals taken. I sat there for 2.5 hours until I peeked my head out because they were closing, and I'm like, "Hey, is anybody gonna come take a look?" "Oh yeah, we'll be right there. Just give us 1 second." Well, that 1 second turned into an hour and a half later, and I had now been there for almost 5 hours, only for me to poke my head out again, and
they acted surprised.
They pretty much acted surprised, like, why was I still there?
Yep.
So the attending doctor, looked and said, "Wait a second, this guy's a full workup for a workers' comp case. Why didn't anybody tell me?" I thought it was just, he just needed a doctor's note. I was like, "Oh, there's a miscommunication there."
Even so, though,
yeah.
Why would you
not
there,
check on a patient?
Yeah, why would you sit there and just automatically assume that even if they needed a doctor's note, that you were just gonna make them wait?
Yeah.
Is that like something that you do?
Apparently. Why? Because there was the way she had put it is she had been treating COVID cases all day, and she had the flu, so they took precedence over top of everything else. I understand, but how, not saying that the flu and COVID was any less, severe than what I had going on.
Yeah.
But at the same sense, you are a staff of doctors, you have more than one patient. If you give someone with COVID, a treatment, and you have to wait for it to take effect, what's to stop you from going to checking on the other patients you have there? Instead,
that sounds
horrendous.
Negligent.
Exactly. And as bad as it is, we've dealt with it all our life.
Yeah, because we were made to believe that pretty much anything that you have going on, whether it would be psychologically or, you know, physically, that it's not as bad as you're making it out to
Yep.
be. Stop being such a baby.
Yep.
Stop being a wuss. Suck it up.
Yep.
All this other stuff, which, I mean, yeah, I guess you could say, like, on occasion there are some dramatic, like, kids or whatever, but you should still validate them. You should still take it seriously to the point of, okay, I see where you're coming from, like, where does it hurt and stuff like
Yeah.
that. You know, let's talk about it. Are you sure that it hurts, like, real bad? Does it hurt, like, this? Name off, like, another time that it was really bad. And if not, you know, is there something around the house where I can help you with it? Because that way they know, hey, at least you're still listening to me.
Yep.
Instead of just brushing me off
Validation.
like you don't matter.
Validation
Yeah,
is the number one
so
key
hard.
to mental health. You know, and now companies today are a lot more aware of it. You know, that there's an issue versus what it used to be. Because I knew different generations grow up different. When I grew up, it was, unless you're physically bleeding out, you're not going to the doctor. We'll throw some, you know, antibacterial lotion on, put a Band-Aid over it, and you'll keep on going. You know, so in today's world, you know, there's a lot more out there. Say, like, military doctors are some of the worst as well. You know, it's when I was deployed and got injured, it was a thing of, I told the doctors something wasn't right. I told them that, hey, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't, you know, things aren't making sense. You know, I can't hear too well. I can't see too well. And at the time, this was back, you know, in the mid 2000s, it was, oh, well, if you can walk out of this office, you're completely fine. And I went back to work. You know, years later, you know, 13, 14 years later, it's affecting me more now than it was back then because it was long-term effects.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is the doctors aren't. Mental health is such a complex and strategic treatment.
Yeah.
You know, because no two cases are alike. You know, you could have one guy over here saying that he's depressed because his parents passed away. At the same time, in the next room over, you've got someone saying they're depressed because they've never been validated a day in their life and they're struggling with self-worth and imbalance. So you can't treat them the same, and I think that's where the stigma comes from with the doctors treating you like a number. Is they look at everything as a whole instead of each one as individual. You know, say you're the fourth patient to come in today and you're saying that, you know, I've been depressed for a long time. I had this happen in my childhood. Well, instead of that doctor taking time to listen to you, they are basing you off of a statistic of, oh, well, the three other people said they had the same thing, and this is what I prescribed to them, or this is what I told them, and I'll just refer them out to another doctor. I don't think it's so much a lack of compassion for their work as much as it is they don't know how to treat it.
Yeah.
You know, because they don't try to treat it because it's something that's going to take up a lot of time and a lot of patience. And I know how they are because I was in the EMT field, and as well as in the military, I was a combat lifesaver. And you get to, sometimes as a doctor, a nurse, you kind of try to treat the severe ones first. the ones that can't walk out under their own 2 feet, the ones that can't, they're not going to make it. When I was an EMT, they said you categorize things in different classes. You've got, mild, strong, and severe. Severe being, okay, this person's not going to make it through the night.
Yeah.
Versus mild, hey, this person I can probably submit for a follow-up and treat it at another time. So it's, that being said, it's completely understandable to be treated like a number, in today's world. My Trish over here, she had, kind of the same thing happen. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was treated like, not so much like a number, but I wouldn't say that I got like super nasty with them, but I just made it aware that, hey, this isn't like my first rodeo with this. Like, I really need you to not only pay attention to what you have like in your files, if you do have that in your file, if you actually wrote it down, if you took seriously enough to write it down, which I found out later they didn't. But I really need you to listen more than I need you to have an answer, like an automatic answer that you're just looking in your medical book and telling me that, hey, this is what it is. Because like you said prior, not everybody is going to have the same symptoms. Like, you may have the same thing, but you may not have the same symptoms. They could be more mild. They could be more severe. And in my case, I made it very much aware we're paying you for these services. Like, we are paying you from something that is getting taken out of our check every week. We are seeking help. We are seeking, medical advice from someone, and you're just treating it like it's just an everyday thing. I apologize if y'all heard my dog hit her head on the table. There's still a GoFundMe for her.
Although it may not help,
but it's really discouraging.
It is.
And like, for a writer here, I get it. I get that feeling. I was diagnosed with severe depression and panic anxiety in 2013, but that was after years of being brushed aside. That, it's because of this that's happening in your life. I just think you're being over dramatic. I think you're thinking too much into it. And like our writer said, a lot of people don't take you seriously enough until something does happen that's bad. And we see it all over Facebook. Even, people that are probably listening right now, you see it. But it's almost like nobody wants to say anything about it. I had, and I won't say his name, but it was my family's ex-boyfriend. Like I said, if I say it, then they're going to know who I'm talking about. So he actually unalived himself, as TikTok likes to use now. You can't say like the thing. So he unalived himself because of something that was happened personally in his marriage. And there were warning signs. It was all over his page. They had to take down his Facebook because of all the incriminating evidence. There was like screenshots that he had put out of people completely dismissing him. I didn't know about it until he had actually passed away. Like I said, said person in the family had contacted me and told me, hey, do you remember this person and such? And I was like, yeah, I remember. I didn't even realize he had a Facebook. And I scrolled, like, because his profile was private, or public, excuse me, not private. Mine's private. It's not mine. Mine's not public, but you can see where it started. And it actually started like a whole 2 years in advance. It was like 2021. And he was writing that he didn't feel himself, that he felt alone, that he felt like nobody cared, that nobody was there for him. And there was like a couple likes, there was a couple comments. But you see more people out there liking just crazy posts, like smart posts or, funny posts or what have you. And then you keep scrolling and you're going to see the people that are struggling who put out like a meme.
Yep.
And somebody's just all like, oh, that's dramatic. Don't put that out there.
Yep.
Or, oh, that's actually just looking for attention. Like, it's not that bad.
That's the stigma.
Yeah. And you see more on people getting like engaged, or some random person that's like randomly popular for no reason getting like all these likes, where you only see one, maybe two on like a mental health post.
Yep.
It drives me bonkers sometimes. And that's why I comment. That's why I like posts. That's why I react to them. And I'm telling them, hey, you know, I understand. I get where you're coming from. It only takes 5 seconds to tell someone that they're not alone.
Yep. And that's literally what our podcast is aiming for, is to reach those people who feel like they have nobody else.
Yeah.
Who are at the end of their line.
And for the most part, we've gotten some good feedback.
Yeah.
But it has to be said that there were at least 6 or 7 that did not want us to start the podcast, or they treat the podcast as you're annoying me.
Yep.
I don't care if it's annoying you. It needs to be said, and it needs to bring more awareness to you. And if you're getting annoyed, that means it's hitting like some sort of nerve.
Yep.
Because you know deep down, you're probably one of the ones that are attributing to the fact that literally someone's feeling bad, someone's feeling alone. And I don't care if that pisses people off. If it pisses people off, that means that literally it's triggering you in a way.
Oh, yeah.
That means reach out to the person that you're thinking about and actually be a friend.
Yeah.
It takes 5 seconds. If you don't want to be treated that way, don't treat other people that way.
Oh, yeah. You know, kind of
like...
like...
Come find me. I'll say it to your face, too. I ain't a keyboard warrior.
You don't... sometimes you don't know. Like, you know, I'm a huge Adam Sandler fan, you know, so all his movies are hilarious. One movie in particular, you know, Billy Madison, you know, he went to school as a spoiled rich kid who was a bully and bullied a whole bunch of people. Well, he had the opportunity to go back to school in all the grades and complete each one within a time frame so he could take over his dad's company. And when he got to high school thinking he was still okay to do what he did before, there were new bullies and new people, you know, that did everything that he did, they did to him. So he went back and talked to one of his newly acquired friends, and they said, well, I guess it doesn't feel so good being picked on now, does it? Yeah. And he was like, oh, man. He goes, you're probably right. He goes, you know what? The guy that I bullied a whole bunch, let me go ahead and call him and, you know, see how he's doing and apologize for, you know.
Even though it was made off to be, like, funny.
Yeah, it was made off to be funny. Well, he called the guy, and the guy answered, and he's like, what? He goes, yeah, man. He goes, man, I gave you a lot of mess during high school. You know, I shouldn't have. You know, I feel extremely bad for it. Maybe we can grab lunch, catch up, you know, hang out. And the guy just kind of was like confused and whatnot. And he said, oh, that's all right then. And he goes, yeah, pretty cool. Well, it was made to be a joke, although it's a serious topic.
Yeah, because of the list.
Yeah, he had a people to, you know.
Yeah. Unalive.
To unalive list.
Yeah.
And he crossed his name off the list. And later in the movie, he comes back to actually save Adam Sandler's life. You know, all because he apologized. You know, not making it right, but at the same time, you don't know. I had my fair share of bullies. Yeah. Like through school, I was picked on for everything you can think of. You know, I was picked on for being short, or I didn't have perfect teeth, or I was picked on because I wore glasses, or I was picked on because my nose wasn't straight, or, you know, I was picked on because of the clothes I wore. You know, bullies are everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, so I
agree.
Everyone will go through something, regardless, but to be unvalidated when you finally had enough and come forward could be your last straw. You know, more so like Trish was saying, you know, it's, you know, the friend of her family's and whatnot that unalived himself. The proof was in the pudding.
Yeah,
you know,
there's plenty of incriminating evidence.
Yeah.
That's why they had to take it down. Like, I thought they were going to turn it into like a memorial page, but they didn't.
Yeah.
So there were warning signs.
Yeah,
There are always
exactly.
warning signs. Like, except obviously for myself last week, but there are warning signs.
Like, if you listen to last week's episode, I think it kind of started off with a song from the late Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. And if you go back to even their earliest days and look at the lyrics in the songs, you know, I've become so numb, I can't feel you. It's like, man, you didn't even realize, nobody even looked at the lyrics until he was gone. But it was right there.
Yeah.
Him literally explaining in the story that there was nobody there for him, whether it was unvalidation or whether, you know, that's another thing is people put, you know, wealthy people above everybody else. Like, why are you struggling?
Why are you sad because you have money?
Robin Williams.
Yep.
You are a comedian. You make millions of people laugh. You know, you have a boatload of money. You've been in all these TV shows. You know, you have a family. Why aren't you happy?
Because sometimes it takes more than money or miscellaneous things to make you happy. It takes a good balance of pretty much everything. Because naturally, you know, people need to be financially stable because it makes you feel, you know, more on solid ground than, you know, living paycheck to paycheck. Or sometimes like the little itty bitty things like a little care package or something does make you feel better because like, oh, I was thought of. Or, you know, I did buy myself this one thing and, you know, it took me forever to buy it because I hadn't bought myself something in a long time until I catched up on debt or something along those lines. But most of the time it's like an inner peace. It's an inner happiness. And it's sometimes hard to find that on your own, which is why people seek out help. But for some odd reason, they put them in like this really weird bubble or stigma that if you have this in your life, you don't need to be sad. Or if you have this going on, then there's no reason why you need to be depressed. There's no reason, you know, why, because in their mind, they have this list of this is what you need in your life to be depressed. It could happen to anybody. The chemicals in your brain is what makes that happen, not just what has occurred to you in your life, but also because the chemicals in your brain are all wacky. Especially since my therapist put that in like a really funny way all the way back in like 2013. So she would say that it was wonky. She's like, it's just your chemicals in your brain are wonky. Even though I've had my fair share of experiences in life, she said, but also you could have everything, all your ducks in a row, and still your chemicals would be wonky. So, and that's just the way that I see it. I never look at somebody and instantaneously think, they're just faking it.
Because how many times did you speak out about something before you actually made it to a doctor that listened?
Quite a few as I got older, but not when I was younger. When I was younger, all the way up into my teens, I hid it a lot because I didn't want someone to know about just some stuff that was happening in my home life, but also as far as like childhood and stuff that I was, you know, forced to pretty much push away or bury because nobody wanted to hear the truth. So. But in my 20s, I did quite a bit and nobody took me seriously. So it was like a rock and a hard place. It's like, oh, I was forced to bury it, and then
now that I speak out about it,
be quiet.
It's like, you know, it goes hand in hand with we'll say, you know, like the Me Too movement. You know, it's people criticize them for coming out to speak about their abuse that happened years prior. You know, and then all of a sudden, all these other people start coming out and saying, "Oh man, well, if you have the courage to speak out, then I'm gonna speak out too." all it takes is a leader, someone to break the mold.
Yeah.
One
Break
person.
the, I wouldn't even say tradition.
Break
but
the ice.
break the ice, or break the stigma, or break the cycle. That's a good word. That's what I was looking for. The cycle. Break your cycle of whoever is making you feel like you have to stay silent.
You can't say anything because it's
whatever reason. Like they could be
whether
annoyed, or they could think that you're just being a drama queen.
Yep. It's when I was diagnosed with PTSD in 2019, that was actually 11 years after I returned from combat, and it took me that long, even though it started like the minute I got out of the service. It was one of those things of, hey, I told people this, I tried to share my experiences, I tried to do things, but nobody wanted to listen. And even so much that when I went to the doctor in 2019 for my PTSD, the doctor they set me up with was supposed to specialize in PTSD and traumatic depression. And I left work early and went to the doctor, and I arrived 20 minutes before my appointment time. I signed in, gave him my insurance information. Well, my appointment was at 2 o'clock. At 2:40, the guy finally called me back. And I went and sat down in his office, and he goes, all right. He goes, so tell me a little bit about yourself and what, is causing, what you think is causing this PTSD bout, to come out, even though you've been out the military for so long. Well, I started explaining a little bit of my story, and the guy pulled out some food that he had gotten and just started eating it. Like, extremely unprofessional.
I mean, it's not funny.
Just imagine
Like,
a guy that's supposed to be listening to your PTSD and your mental health starts slurping on a chicken wing and smacking his lips,
That's
and
I said I didn't mean for it to be funny, but it's
and he's like, yep, go ahead and
it's like one of those like movies that you randomly see that are not supposed to be funny, but they're funny, where you're like having this real deep conversation. The camera's zooming on you. There's music, and all of a sudden you hear.
Yeah. And that's what he did. And I'm like, okay, dude. I'm like, you're not even taking me seriously. And then he accepts a phone call from his wife asking what he wanted to do for dinner. And I'm like,
it was all about food.
I'm like, wait a second here. I'm like, you're supposed to be taking time to listen to me. And my appointment was supposed to be 2 to 3. And I got in there at 2:40 because he was doing whatever else. Only for after 20 minutes for him to tell me that he had another client and he wants to see me again to get more in depth. And I'm like, no, I will not be back. I left a nasty review. I called my counselor and said, look, I'm not going back. You find me somebody else, because this guy didn't take me seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she set me up with someone else,
insane.
Closer to my house. And this lady didn't do anything, with me whatsoever. Granted, COVID was going on at the time and there was no physical contact, but she would call and only to pretty much ask me how I was doing, if anything was bothering me, and if I needed her to do anything. And I'm like, what can you possibly do other than call me once a week as a check-in to make sure I'm still alive?
Yeah.
So that it was brushed off by 2 different doctors. And it was pretty much like, well, dang, well, there's no point in me even going to a doctor if nobody's going to help.
Yeah. It makes you feel like you should just give up when you keep getting the same reoccurring, I don't care about you.
Yeah. You are doctors. A number, you're not a patient.
Yep.
It's...
Trust me, I wanted to give up a bunch of times.
Oh, God, yeah.
Until I finally found 2 really good, doctors. That was a therapist. Well, no, 3. My therapist, my OBGYN, and my regular just go-to for anything doctor. I don't know
Yeah,
what you technically call him, but I usually call him like the family doctor.
yeah. It's a thing, it's if you run into so many doctors, and it's, I had touched a little bit on, the doctor making fun of me for just wanting a day off. That wasn't the first time anything like that's happened. It happens quite a bit. It's like, oh, having a cold is another thing. You go into a doctor's office, with a slight fever, the sniffles and the chills, and they're like, oh, okay, you've got the common cold. They won't even give you the time of day unless COVID was going on. And now it's just like, oh, okay, look, here's some cold medicine. Here's some coughing pills. Go home. You're not getting validated anymore because of, for whatever reason, you're being put into a category. That doesn't mean you give up, though. There right doctors are out there. I found my therapist, at one of the VA hospitals pretty much by dumb luck. I had given up on doctors, and I told myself, hey, you know what? I'm going to go by the VA because I know they have a military clothing store inside, and I'm going to go look to see if I can get some, some cool gear. Yeah. I just happened to walk past an office that said PTSD awareness therapist. So I stepped in and I talked to the guy. Ended up talking to him for well over an hour. And he gave me his card and his number, and he said, if you ever need to talk again, come back and talk to me. I seen that guy probably, 6 to 7 times, just randomly. I never had an appointment. I never did anything. It was kind of like, oh, well, I'm not doing anything today. Let me swing by and talk to him, and it helped me through.
Yeah.
You find those doctors, they're out there that actually care about you.
Yeah, that actually want to, find a solution for you. Not just as far as you like being sick or whatever, but also like mental health wise. Like you will find someone who has the same vibes as you, who wants to sit there and actually listen and pay attention to the different stuff that you want to talk about. Because ironically enough, when I did start talking, if they're paying attention, they're going to find the reason why you feel the way that you feel.
Yep.
And it's something completely off the wall most of the time that you wouldn't even think about. You're like, holy crap. And that's when it clicks where you're like, someone finally listened.
Yep. That validation that you get. And it's, I would say if you want a mental health therapist or, a good doctor, steer clear of your doc in a boxes and use them for, your typical colds and this, that, the other. And your giant name people, of, hey, let me go to, such and such, psychiatry. They're part of the big Bon Secours system or this, that, the other. Chances are they've got so many patients they can't keep up, so you're not going to get the treatment you needed. But 3 doors down, you've got a 50-some-year-old therapist who has been doing it for 20 years with their own practice. Chances are they're going to treat you better than a big box corporation. It's one of those things. My therapist at the VA, he was actually a combat veteran and had PTSD himself, which is where he started, hey, I'm going to give back to veterans. So it's a thing. It's, and
it's definitely something that I feel like should be spoken about more. And, if more people actually do, not just for like mental health, but just in general, it would become less taboo.
Yeah. There's that word again, taboo.
That should be like a marker for us or something, because I always keep saying that. But like the more people you have, the bigger it's going to be made aware that, hey, it's okay to talk about this. Hey, it's a safe zone. It's a safe place. They're not going to judge me. They're not going to sit there and tell me that I'm crazy or that what I'm feeling is completely stupid, because it's not. It's not stupid. It's not crazy. It's not out of the ordinary. There's more people out there that actually feel the way that you're feeling more than you know. It just feels that way because so many people in your life have invalidated you and how you're feeling. And it's not just doctors, it's also people that you love, people that you know, people that you put your trust into. And then you feel like the fool because you're like, holy crap, why did I allow this to happen? Technically, you didn't allow anything to happen. You don't go into something or speak about how you're feeling and say, I know that they're going to treat me bad, but I'll just go ahead and tell them anyway. It's not about that.
Yeah, no.
You don't go into any friendship or relationship or anything like that with that trust and thinking they're going to understand what I'm going through because I've known them for so long and automatically know what's going to happen.
Yep.
Anybody could treat you anyway.
Yeah.
It could be someone you know for 25 years.
Yep.
It could be family, whatever. But your feelings aren't stupid. They're not out of the ordinary. They're not taboo. They're not dumb. They're not freaky. It doesn't make you a freak. I've seen 1,000 things on social media, and it's like nobody would want to be treated that way, but have zero problem treating someone else that way.
Yep.
So if someone has to tell you, we're going to tell you. We've been through the ringer.
Oh, God, yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now, you do matter. And we have like 1,000 pin posts about mental health awareness. There's a hotline number. You can even text now if you don't want to talk to somebody.
Yep.
There's so many things that can be done. And I know, like, most of the time, it kind of feels like they feel alone because they're not getting the certain attention from someone that they actually want.
Yep.
Then those aren't your people. Because if they were your people, they would step up.
Yeah.
Without a question, without a doubt. They wouldn't make fun of you. They wouldn't talk behind your back.
Yep.
They would step up and be like, what can I do for you?
It's like almost like a best friend, you know? You have a person you consider your best friend, and then you figure you can come to them with anything, and the minute you come with it, they're like, pretty much, I don't have time for that. They're not your best friend.
Or it's the brush off
Yeah.
of, well, I felt like that for years.
Yep.
So I don't even know why you're getting upset about it. Like, I'm sorry that someone's hurt you, but don't hurt me in return.
Yep. Hurt people hurt people.
Like, take my feelings into consideration the way I would you. Like, I'm hurting right now. I need your help. Like, that's why I came to you. Don't like, oh, I felt like that for years. Or, oh, you're just being over dramatic. Or, oh, that seems stupid. Okay, then you're a part of the problem.
Exactly. And that's
like, bam, I said it.
That's what's wrong with the world today is there's so many people that are part of the problem and not many people that are willing to help.
Yes.
You know, it's like, and people can change too. You know, it's person who could be there for you, you know, 1 minute and could all of a sudden be your enemy the next. You know, like,
which really sucks.
Yeah, it does. Because, you know, you develop a trust and all of a sudden they kind of betray you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
we've had that happen quite a few times.
Yeah. And,
which, ironically, you know, you find out through other people that they're still doing the same stuff.
Even after you parted ways.
Yep. And ironically enough, and I'm throwing that out there too, it's the same people that try to add me back.
Yep. All the people who betray
that
you.
They knew what was going on.
All the people that
did it.
All of them that pretty much, hey, I heard this story first, so that must be true. Let me delete you off social media. Let me slander you. Let me personally attack you. Let me, go after your vehicle to make a statement. And then here we are 2 years later when you realize that, oh man, I overreacted because now I found out the truth and I feel bad for it. Let me go back and try to be your friend now. They're not a real friend. They'll turn on you in a heartbeat. You know, you could swim with sharks, all day long. And the minute you strike fear, they'll turn on you in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So it's
too many people follow the leader.
Exactly. Nobody's
instead of, thinking for themselves or really, I wouldn't say research, But just pay attention. Don't say anything. Just pay attention. And they'll tell you everything that you need to know about their actions, by their words. And that's for anything. That's for any type of subject that you want to talk about. Just pay attention. You don't have to have a response to everything. Yeah. Sometimes no response is a response. Just pay attention.
Yeah.
I said it.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't stutter.
With regards to the doctor thing, it's, without describing the situation, Trish went through some stuff where she had a doctor who was there for her for quite a few times and this, that, the other. Well, then she went back to said doctor and all of a sudden got treated like a number and passed off. And it was like, what?
It's very odd.
Yeah, it's
and kind of just like out of the blue. It's almost like if you're not giving them like a more positive outcome or something, they don't want to deal with you.
Yeah.
It's weird, but
they
that
brushed her off.
decision almost killed me.
Yeah. Well, they brushed her off, and then she decided to switch and go to a same practice but a different location because she had heard good reviews about certain doctors. So she went to the doctor and explained to the doctor that, hey, look, I've been through the ringer. This is how they treated me in the past. This is what's happened to me. Please don't treat me like that.
Yeah.
Well, then they give you their word. Oh, no, we're not going to treat you like that. They treat you good. They befriend you. You come back. They befriend you again and say, oh, man, this is awesome. And then turn around and the next time you come back, it's almost like, oh, I didn't expect you to be back. You're a burden. Go away. I'm going to give you this generic answer like I don't have time for you. And then you're trying to voice to them about stuff and they're just kind of like, yeah, well, here's what it is. And this is what we need to do. Like, I'm not going to listen to you. So then we changed doctors again. And it was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. We kept our guard up because it's like, oh, these people are trying to befriend us. And I tell you one thing.
When you've been through it before.
When you've been through it so many times of being invalidated by a doctor, you don't trust anybody.
Yeah, because they could just be doing the same thing that the other ones were doing. And you let your guard down before. So.
Yeah. And when you finally find that doctor, they treat you like, oh my God, they've known you your whole life. You're their friend.
Yeah, that's what they treated me like because it was 3 different ones. And each one was amazing. 3
different people who didn't know who had never met you before. And all 3 of them treated you the exact same. Like, hey,
and that's how doctors should be.
That's how they should be. It's like, oh, I don't know you, but I read your files. So tell me what's going on. Tell me what I can do to help.
Yep.
Then you go to the next doctor.
And they've been there a while, so you can't say they're like just fresh out of school and stuff. That's another one. Oh, they're just fresh out of school, so they're just acting like that. No, they've been there for years.
Yeah, 20 years, 15 to 20 years, and they're still
amazing.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, you've got a family, you got this, that, the other, and then you read their profile, and you're like, man, this is great. First doctor we went to, she was, oh, okay, well, we did this and we did this. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, keep a monitor. If anything changes, come back. Well, then something changed, came back, and she wasn't available. So the next doctor was like,
and she recommended her too.
Yeah, she's like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is what I need you to do.
Yep, because I had broken out in the fever and the rash. Yeah. And it was without warning.
Yeah, she said, you know what? We're going to schedule you 2 days out. Get this in your system now.
And then major surgery Friday.
Yeah.
Which I'm recovering now. Like, I'm good to go. Still dizzy, still tender, still sore, but alive. And I have them to thank for it because they took it seriously. And if they hadn't, like the other one, if I hadn't have switched or anything, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
So 100%, like, I owe them my life.
Yeah.
That was scary. That it could happen so fast. Yeah. Things could change so quickly, and that was a freak accident, dude. Like, that was crazy. And here I am.
Yeah.
It's insane. So, 100%. I think that as far as, like, our writer, Did we read the other little tiny one?
You haven't yet.
Ooh. So
Yeah.
we actually didn't get like a letter for the other one. I'm on a lot of antibiotics. I apologize. I thought that we read it.
No, it's okay. Well, in summation of that one, don't
It,
give
like-
don't give up on the doctors yet.
Yeah.
Just maybe don't go talk amongst your people. We found, her doctor. We found her through recommendation from eyewitness versus Google reviews.
Because honestly, like a person's first like point of view.
Yeah.
Like,
First person point of view is
yeah. Like I said, it's a medicine. My
Is
bad.
much-
Just laugh it off. Just laugh it off.
much
and keep
better,
It.
'cause-
But I feel like actually someone who's been there,
Yeah.
actually someone who's been through it, it's so much more than just a review on
Yeah.
Google.
Somebody
I would totally put it out there like on community boards or something like that's like your community like Facebook page or something, and just kind of like get a feel, and then talk to your people like you
Yeah.
said. Like that's how I found
Yeah.
him, was through 5 other people.
Yep. And I found someone, randomly who I just met not too long, before this happened. And,
Yep.
I got to talking to this girl and I'm like, oh, hey, this, that, the other. And she recommended the same place, as the other 5 people. And I'm like, man, if 5 different people have gone through similar stuff that we have and have seen similar stuff and all got 100% A+ ratings, I'm going to go with them versus, the place down the street where Google review gives them a 4.5 star out of 5 with 3,000 reviews. And every review I see are people without abstract conditions or people who are normal day to day. Oh, I go to them every year, once a year, for my physical, for my checkup, for my, OB, and it's like, oh, everything's fine. Yeah. Well, those 3,000 people might not be going through what you're going through.
Yeah.
Trust your circle,
Yep. And that's what I did too, and I ended up finding like 5 other people who also went to them, and without that recommendation I would have never known
Yep.
them. I had never heard of them before.
Me neither.
So I think it's amazing, and like I said, I thought that we had read
Yeah.
this, so I apologize. Like I said, it's a mess, and go ahead, laugh at it.
Don't give up
would.
on the doctors. Just try a different approach. There's somebody out there
Yes.
who's willing to listen.
Yep. And then the only other tiny, I guess, I wouldn't even call it like a letter. It's just somebody that literally emailed, and this is all they said. It says, "Hey, Trash Talk, why do people make you feel so alone when you are trying your best to not die?" So that made me like really sad.
Yeah,
when I read
that's-
it the first time, because it's like, I know how that feels, and anybody would know how that feels. You feel alone. You feel like nobody takes you seriously. And to answer that, I would say that people tend to forget to put themselves into your shoes when you're in your darkest moment. That's my answer, because until they themselves have either walked in your shoes or they themselves are honestly going through it, as bad as it is to say, they're not going to pay attention. They're going to literally not so much like brush it off, but it's like their day-to-day life and how they're doing life at the time, it doesn't sink in for them until it happens to them. Not everybody's like that, but a good chunk of people, unfortunately, it seems like, are like that. So that's my answer. I would say that it's not so much you. People just tend to forget, I think, when they get caught up in life, that they themselves needed somebody in that hard time. So if you're not getting the answer that you need, like that good soul, warmth answer, I would definitely either talk to someone else that you trust or find it within yourself to be that friend that you need. Because sometimes I needed to do that. I just needed to be the friend that I couldn't find in someone else. And it sounds so sad when I say it out loud. But it's not that sad, I promise. It's one of those things where so many people either let you down or you just get tired of getting the same answer, not so much from the same person, but multiple people, that you're like, you know what? I'm stronger than that. And you finally get fed up. And you're like, I'll just be the friend that I need. And then you pick your ass up and you do what needs to be done. And that's pretty much what happened to me in a lot of areas in my life, because I wasn't going to give up. I wasn't going to quit. Especially when you got little ones. You don't want them to ever sit there and think that it's easy to give in or give up or look for someone else to help you along the way. Sometimes your answer is right where you are. Look in the mirror. That's probably going to be some of your answers too. Sometimes you don't need somebody else. Sometimes you just need you. That's my answer.
Yeah.
That's right. We got all deep and stuff without theme music.
Not to mention, to touch on that as well, it's if you're trying your best to survive and people are constantly at you, my suggestion would be to find other people. I went, my childhood with someone I thought was my friend, with quite a few people who I thought were my friends, and they were always on me and always, they were my friend to my face and not my friend behind my back, but I didn't realize until I was an adult now, but change people. Befriend somebody that you wouldn't normally befriend. It's go away. If someone isn't there for you, or if someone's nagging you or picking on you, or, you're trying to do things and they're constantly down your throat, go away from them. Not so much like walk away from the bully, but do something more along the lines of, if you're at a job and you make decent money and you've got those coworkers who are constantly ragging you, see if your company has another location that you can maybe transfer to get away. Or if you have a circle of friends that you go out with, but you're always the butt of the joke, then chances are, if they're not willing to change, or if you express your feelings about being the butt of the joke and they mock it, they're not actually your friends. It's time to start looking elsewhere. Or go do something yourself, go change it. Go like, okay, hey, pick up a hobby. Hobbies are really good. Whether it be arts and crafts or sewing or, podcasting, or actually, a really cool one to pick up is resin forming and
I
molds.
love it.
Like you can,
I gotta get more resin. I've made shelves and everything.
Yeah, she made shelves. She made little figures. She put artificial flower pieces inside of a skull mold. And it made it this sunflower themed cool resin thing that's super clear and transparent. It looks
so cute.
It looks phenomenal. Pick it up. It's not that expensive.
Love it.
And it takes...
Didn't even realize how easy it was now.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten into cups or anything because I used to buy so many cups that I still have today. Don't judge me. But I want to get into maybe doing a teacup set or something.
Yeah,
I think that would be cute.
It's something cool to do. It's fairly inexpensive, you
can get your mind off of stuff.
Exactly. And it takes, an hour or two to make one, one thing.
If that, I usually let them set overnight. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's
you're
a
supposed
hard
to give it at least 24 hours.
Yeah. She made a lunar crescent moon mold that was about a foot tall that had little shelves on it, almost like a display shelf for like jewelry or this, that,
I
the
did
other.
mine for crystals.
And and it's hung up right now with a nail through it, holding jewelry and stuff. And
Oh no, mine are crystals.
Yeah, crystals.
And
And
my sister
it's-
wants me to make her one so she can put like just a bunch of different
Yeah.
like baby knickknacks.
it's
that she's
easy
gotten.
to do. Pick up a hobby. Take your
Yeah.
mind off of it. Go away. Like,
We started doing like the house and stuff like with renovations.
Yeah.
Just like stuff that we wanted to do, and it kept our mind off of things. It helped us heal.
Yeah.
We started shopping for like new furniture for the house, and then we started doing like our garden. So
yeah, hobbies are your best friend when nobody seems to be there for you. Because then all of a sudden you pick up new friends who have common interests.
Yeah.
Or I mean, if you don't want to stay in the house and you really want to go out and get your mind off it, pick a different hobby. Go to go bowling on a Thursday night or a Friday night by yourself.
Hell yeah, because we're gonna go bowling soon.
Yeah, just imagine, you're like, man, I'm boring, I'm bored, I want to do something. Bowling. Let me go try bowling. And what?
You said I'm bored.
Well, like, just imagine, like, you get bored and stuff, and
You can't come back from that. You said I'm bored.
I'm boring, so let me go out here and make myself not boring by picking up a hobby of bowling. Yeah, you may meet
You're the worst.
you may meet fellow bowlers who are doing the same thing you are,
I'm crying. My makeup on.
and they may have the same thing. It's like, oh, she has completely lost her composure. She's turning colors.
I think it's like it's the medicine or something, man. I've been in the house for so long. I've been sick.
Yeah,
You're
pick
like
up
the
a hobby.
worst advice giver.
Pick up
They're
a
all
hobby.
gonna like listen to it. They're gonna be like, you know what, Oz? Forget you.
Yeah, and that's when they're all like, yeah, we don't want. That's when they're all like, yeah, we don't want to hear from him anymore.
I love you so much. You're so funny.
What?
I know. I sent that to you. Like it'll be like like I'm crying. It'll be like a memory. If nobody knows about this yet, it was like an hour ago. But Tina Turner passed away, and I can't get over that. Like there's so many that we grew up watching or listening to, and they're all passing away. Like it's driving me crazy. Okay, it reminds me of the saying that my mom used to tell me. She's like, oh, by the time that you're my age, like all the ones that you look up to or listen to or watch on movies, they're gonna be gone. And I feel like she just cursed me because they were supposed to live forever.
I'm telling you, like Betty White, was.
Oh,
I mean, she
don't
was.
need to talk about Betty White.
She was
Betty
there.
White and Robin Williams. Like, I will fight. I will throw
Like-
hands. These hands are gonna be rated E for everybody. Like, those were the best people. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I have my select few
I do.
comedians that.
I probably have more than that, but right now I can't think straight because all I can think about is all the emails we're gonna get about people saying, "Get that man off your podcast."
Yeah, we want the chick that barked at the camera. We want her back.
Oh, Ashley should be back next week. She's going through a lot of scheduling like conflicts.
Yeah.
And she'll be back. Them freaking schedules, man.
Yeah.
Especially with younger kids.
Well, yeah, you got 4 kids, and one of who's was just born like last year, so it's like
around Thanksgiving. So it's like, oh my goodness.
it takes up a lot of your time, especially
It
because me and Trish, we live in the same household, and and Ashley, she lives a whole county away,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
with
we're
4
gonna figure
kids
that
plus
out when we have
plus
a
a
big
job.
old football team anyway. So
Yeah, so it's
we'll
like-
bring our kids on the podcast.
But yeah, pick up a
yeah.
hobby. Pick up a hobby.
Don't you yell at them.
That would be my suggestion.
They're gonna riot.
Pick up a hobby.
Okay.
Something to
It's
take your
been
mind
about
off of it.
a little over an hour, so I'll leave you with me losing my shit for 5 minutes.
laughing so much you start crying. And
Then I cried off my makeup. Did you see the little tears?
yeah, I'm gonna put this out there. Like, you look like an '80s Stevie Nicks.
No.
Yeah,
No way.
with the makeup and the hair and the outfit.
No.
Oh, fine. I'll pull it up since you don't believe me. That
You
or this.
better-
See, there's that validation
Oh
thing.
my God. Can't you just tell me that, hey, you look nice today? why you gotta give me so many compliments when you know
I'm about
that
to say,
it makes me flustered.
being compared to Stevie Nicks, like, come on.
I love Stevie Nicks. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like, she's an idol, though. I'm just trust.
Like,
No. I do like that outfit, though. But no.
I mean, it's similar to what you're wearing.
No.
Stevie Nicks.
Hey.
Hey,
Look me in my eyes. You ready for it?
I can't. That's tantalizing.
Look me in my eyeballs.
No, I can't.
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
So I can tell you something. I got a secret.
Anyway, go ahead.
I love you.
I love you. Stomp.
No. Okay. We'll say our goodbyes now. That way we can go ahead and post. And then next week, because we're like a week behind on everything, we don't know if we're going with one or the other because we have like two different guests that we could go with. Because technically this was supposed to be a different one. We were supposed to record this last week. And yeah, now we're like a week behind. So it'll be surprised, you guys. We're just gonna throw two pieces of paper into like something and just switch it around.
This is the guest of the. If you followed us, this far, you'll know that 2021 was pretty much like the most traumatic year of our lives.
Yeah.
This is pretty much the bookkeeper.
Yeah.
That's gonna come in and right a bunch of wrongs.
Oh God, yeah. And I feel like it's a really good podcast to have for future generations too, is that most people don't even get this opportunity. So that's why we're putting it out there, because
next month is...
it's a big opportunity to have. And yeah, it's just, it's nice. It's good. It's great. We're about a week behind on it, so we'll let y'all know. I'll post, of course. Keep us updated on, anything that y'all, I guess, want us like to kind of talk about. Like if we're not talking about something that you kind of want to like put out there, but we're just going by, I guess, the emails, the text.
Well, what next
especially
month
a
is.
lot of the people that keep coming out of the woodworks and talking about a certain somebody. Saying that she's doing this, that, and the third, and I'm like, you don't say.
So next month, June, stay tuned for that. There's a lot that goes on in June, between Pride Month and Men's Health Awareness Month.
Really?
Yep.
Ooh, already got like 2 ideas.
And of course, you've got the
now
it's Alzheimer's Awareness Month.
Heck yeah, dude. So y'all, it's especially since like if you look at the YouTube analytics that we have, it's like men are listening to us too. So
Dark
it's like
pause.
email us, especially for National Men's Awareness Health. It's health, right?
It's health. Men's health.
Yeah, email us. You know it. We put it out there.
Yeah, hey,
you'll see
look,
it.
As a guy myself, there's a lot of issues that men have, along with not just mental health, but physical health as well. That there's a lot of things that men think it's not okay to do, or they're not allowed to.
That would be a good one for Jay.
Yeah,
that would be a good one for Jay to get up on. So Jay's gonna be listening. Jay, get up on this.
Yeah, like
okay,
straight up.
We will go. Y'all plot like your little messages and stuff. We'll always keep you anonymous if you want us to. Keep up to date with all the Facebook stuff. And we will see you next week.
Yeah, and remember, if you're boring, make sure you go bowling.
They're gonna riot. Torch and pitchforks. They're gonna make you get off the pot.
Be like, man, she said she was on medicine. What is he on? I want to be on that. Where I'm like, man, I'm boring. But
he's on high on life.
I'm high on life and lack of sleep. That's
what they used to say.
High on life and lack of sleep.
Y'all stay safe out there. Be aware of your surroundings. Pay attention to your body. I'm a clear example of that.
So long, farewell. I'll never say goodbye.
All right, you guys.
Peace.
Peace. Beaches, 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 beaches.
I'll make you mine.